How dangerous is sleep paralysis?
Sleep paralysis is the feeling of being aware of your surroundings but unable to move or speak. Often victims feel pressure on their chest or a sense of choking. These episodes happen when you're transitioning through the stages of wakefulness and sleep, but the creepy part comes when you have hallucinations too. During these vivid dream-like experiences, you might see scary creatures near you or even lying in your bed. It's common to experience hallucinations, including hearing voices or feeling something touching you. How could you prevent sleep paralysis? Which sleeping position could trigger an episode? And why could moving your eyes wake you up?
Night owls. What is the creepiest thing that happened to you when everyone else was sleeping? As many of us were back then, I was gaming. The first Modern Warfare 2 had dropped recently, and I had an entire wrestling team of friends with Xboxes. Great fun. 1 a.m. rolls around, the summer night air wafting in through both open windows. In between bites of pizza rolls and
"Our UAV is online!"
I swear, I hear someone say, "Help me." Freaks you out a bit if you're completely unsure, and that particular phrase isn't uttered often. I pause and listen, taken off one side of my Turtle Beaches. A good half a minute passes. Nothing. I tell my friends about it. They roast me, telling me I'm imagining it, so I shrug it off. Again, I swear I think I heard someone distinctly say, "Help me." I fully take off my headset and wait. Sooner this time, and sure enough, there it is. A third time, and I hear it clear. A voice I do not recognize. "Can someone help me?" Bone-chilling desperation in their voice. The bottom level of the house which I'm playing in is below grade, with the windows maybe a foot above the soil outside, below the deck. I'm 3 feet from that window, feeling my teenage soul leave my body in fear. I run upstairs in a panic and inform my parents. Dressed in bedwear and armed with an airsoft gun, we investigate. An elderly woman with dementia got lost a few hours before and had wandered into our backyard, fell and became delirious. We called the police and she was taken to the hospital, confused but unharmed. Glad to have helped her that day. Also glad to prove my entire team wrong. That felt nice.
4 strange things that can happen while you sleep. Number 4, night terrors are level 2 nightmares that can lead to intense fear, shaking, and screaming. Number 3, feeling like you are falling off the edge. This is known as a hypnagogic jerk. 2, sleep paralysis, when you start waking up but you can't move or speak. And number 1, just as you're moving into deep sleep, you start to hear really loud noises similar to gunshots. This is known as the exploding head syndrome.
If you see him while you're awake, run. So this story actually comes from a Reddit user who's a therapist. And this user had a patient who was coming in complaining of seeing Hatman at night. This patient would apparently wake up in the middle of the night to see Hatman standing at the foot of their bed, watching them sleep. And as a result, they were not really sleeping much. So the therapist prescribed some pretty heavy sleeping medication, and as a result, the patient starts getting a little better. But then one day, the patient comes in and just looks like they had seen a ghost. So the therapist asked them what was wrong, and they said that as they were getting in the car to come to therapy, they saw Hatman standing across the street during the day. This therapist had only ever heard of Hatman when it came to patients waking up in the middle of the night and seeing him, never when they were already awake doing things in the middle of the day. So the patient is terrified, but the therapist thinks this might be a side effect of the medication. It takes a little while to get used to. But that was the last time the patient ever came to see the therapist.
This is what actually happens during sleep paralysis. You'll feel like you're awake and you can still hear and see things, but you can't move your body because it's still asleep. It might last a couple seconds or a few minutes, and during that time you can't really move or speak. People have reported feeling a weight on their chest, like someone is standing or sitting on it. Additionally, you might feel a lot of fear because of a nightmare. Sleep paralysis typically happens right before you fall asleep or right before you wake up.
Update: I'm not dead. Here is what happened. I went to sleep pretty quickly, but what I seen wasn't anything like the people on TikTok had described. Personally, I think it's fake, but what I seen was still pretty scary. Once I fell asleep, I woke up in a completely black room, and there was a white pillar in the center. The corners were glowing red, and I could see a door to my left, but I didn't look around. Then something round but completely black with white eyes emerged from the walls, and it felt like when you fall asleep and you dream or falling off a cliff. Kinda in a jump scare way, if that makes sense. I woke up in real life straight after that. But when I checked the time, it was 3 seconds and 70 milliseconds. That didn't make sense. I got up to go to the bathroom, but once I was outside my bedroom door, it shut behind me, and the lights went out. I didn't shut the door. I just pretended it was nothing until I was halfway across the hallway. I started hearing bangs, and all the doors in my house changed color, and there were numbers on them. The whole atmosphere got really creepy, and the hallway stretched out for miles. Then I heard something whizzing down the corridor, so I ran backwards into where the bathroom should be. But there was no bathroom. Instead, it was the same room that I had a jump scare in the first time. Then the same monster bust through the door and came right at me. Then I woke up. Yes, it was all in my head. I woke up in my head. I had a dream in a dream. TF. I understand you might believe it's fake, but what happened to me was pretty scary. Maybe it was just a coincidence that I had a nightmare last night, but the numbers on the door. Ick. Anyways, I'm alive, I'm not injured or anything. Pulse.
Here's what it would look like if you had sleep paralysis.
If you ever heard your bed make a popping noise when you're sleeping, this is why. There is a spirit under your bed. Do not move, just go back to sleep until it goes away.